Hello, it's Angela from Create for Living, and today we're going to be looking at three-dimensional letters. So the first kind of letter that I'm going to be doing is a letter which has a bit of perspective from a point. So start off just by penciling the basic letter shape and creating a block letter around that shape. I'm going to be doing the letter T, and you can see I'm just creating a block letter T. If you keep this quite uniform, it will look neater. So keeping the width of the letter uniform throughout will make it look more neater. You simply then add a point at some place on the page, doesn't matter where that point is, and then join that point to the edges of the letter that are closest to the point in the first instance, and to the edges of the letter that are furthest away from that point, as if it's going behind what you've already drawn. And you'll see that it looks like this letter is moving forward out of the page, like a comic strip or something like that. So at this point you can decide whether you want to cut off the back of the letter so that you just have part of that perspective, or if you want to color it in different colors or shade it in. I chose just to use some coloring pencils and add a little bit of color to the parts of the letter that are on the same plane. But you can really be creative with any pattern, however you want to choose to decorate this letter, and try different kind of perspectives by moving that point around, moving it above the letter or to either of the sides or below, and it'll completely change the way that the letter looks. So I'm just colouring in the top of the letter. And there we have my letter T flowing out from the back, going over those outlines again just to make them stand out, and we have a 3D letter T. Right, I'm going to show you how the perspective can change depending on the sizing and positioning of your letters. So you can see I've written the word dimension in the top right by using different size block letters. So I'm just going to very lightly in pencil write the word lettering using different size letters going kind of in an oval shape, and now I'm just going to block them out. So again, I'm doing this just quite rough because I'm going to go over it in pen, and I'm just making those letters block letters by thickening out each of the strokes to roughly the same width. And my point is in the middle, so I'm going to have this hopefully moving out from the middle, just like you see in the top right there with the word dimension. So I'm going to use a pen. First pen I picked up didn't work, so I'm just grabbing another pen and just going to outline these. Again, it would be neater if you used a ruler and if you really took some time to make sure those letters were perfect. I did this fairly quickly. The video has been sped up. This was just a quick demonstration so that you get the idea and you can work on your design, or whether you want to use capitals or lower cases or different types of block letters. So now that I have the letters in, it takes a little bit of time, but I'm going to start with the parts of the letter that are closest to the point, and then go to this part of the letters that are furthest away, making sure that I don't go over the drawings that I already have, so that it looks like those parts fall behind the letter. And I'm just continuing to do that for all of the letters that are there. It takes a little bit of time. Really, a key thing with lettering is to not rush. It will always look so much better if you take your time. Right, so we have all the perspective lines in. Again, you could rub out from the center if you didn't do that all in pen, and just have it popping out from some sort of point rather than coming all the way from the center to create a different effect. So do experiment with that. I like to make all my letters the same color or the same pattern on the top, so it looks like they're the same plane. It may have made sense to do the smaller ones a different color, so they look slightly further away. And then I'm just going over with different colors, this time using Crayola markers, tip tips, just to add some color. You can experiment with different patterns like you see on the left, the letter D, just to create different effects. This is really about you being creative and choosing your own style. So I encourage you to have a go using any word of your choice or a name, and see if you can have that 3D perspective from a point. All right. This next 3D letter that we're going to do is simply writing out with your normal script lettering a word at a slight diagonal. So I've written the word hello, and then again diagonally down from the bottom of this letter, creating lines that are parallel and equal in length all the way from the bottom, and then just using the same parallel, make sure the top does the same. And now at the bottom of each of those letters, create the same line as you see on the bottom of the letter. So if it's curved round or curved in, follow that as well, and you get this letter that's raised from the bottom and creates this sort of 3D effect. I've just gone over this with a pen so it stands up a little bit more. The pen that I grabbed was running out of ink, so you'll see me trying to get some ink out, but it just gives you the overall effect. But you can add a bit of color again or decorative dimension to this. So you can see the hello standing up at the top, and you've got the 3D lines going down. I'm going to do the same effect here, but this time using faux calligraphy, so writing out the word again in script. This time I'm writing the word dream, and now every downstroke I'm going to thicken in order to create a faux calligraphy. So you simply make sure every single one of those downstrokes is thickened. Just imagine you're writing the letter and think about whether your pen is going down or up, and if it's going down, then make that a thick stroke. And again, I'm going to just do diagonals, making sure these are all parallel to each other, going down from every new part of the stroke of those letters. So making sure the length on each of these diagonals is the same, right up until the end of the letter. And now I'm just copying the bottom of the letter, roughly the same kind of stroke, so curving up, or curving in, or round as the bottom of the letter does, erasing any extra bits, and you have your final letter. So that's using faux calligraphy. Right. I'm going to just show you what happens when you have a letter that has a line that extends below, such as the letter P or Y. So again, I'm going to decide how long I want to make each of these letters using diagonals, but then recognize that the P and the Y need to go further down. So making sure that each of the diagonals I use are the same length, which means that if the letter extends below the line, then that will also extend further down. I'll show you another example with the word joy. So again, doing the same thing, just extending those lines about the same length, meaning that the bottom of the J and the bottom of the O go further down. And just to show you what happens when the letter is round, like in the word wow, just go roughly to where the edge of each letter is, even if it is curved. Remember to do the inside of the letters, and you can create that 3D effect. Alright, have fun enjoying trying different letters and different types of lettering using your own script lettering. Of course, you can use normal lettering as well, but script works quite well. Right, now we're going to look at trying to do floating letters that have this drop shadow that make them look like they're literally floating above the page. So again, we're going to start by doing a block letter. I'm doing the block letter A, as you can see. And then at the bottom of each letter, I'm just doing a small, bottom of each edge of that letter, just doing a really small diagonal, about 1/2 centimeter, and joining those parts up so that I create a 3D block letter. And then I'm just shading in everything that's on the same plane. So all the parts at the bottom and all the parts that are on the sides. Now I'm doing another block letter behind this. You could have done this at the beginning in pencil, just slightly below and to the right. And it's the same shape literally as that initial block letter and the same size as that initial block letter that I did before I added the dimension to it. And I'm just shading that in with my pencil so that I create this drop shadow. It's a little bit away, but literally the same size and shape as the top A. And then I'm just going to play with shading to make sure that all of the parts that are on the side to the right of that letter A are shaded darker so that it creates a bit more dimension. You'll get this overall effect that looks like the A is floating off the page. So you can do this with literally any letter, have fun experimenting, and enjoy seeing how you can do that. Right, our last 3-dimensional letter is a letter that looks like it's curling off the page. So I'm creating the letter J using block lettering. And then when I get to the top of the letter J, I'm going to actually curl to the right like it's a piece of tape or ribbon that's frayed off the side. Right. And then I'm going to just create a little bit of dimension to that. So just create a little bit of a 3D effect just on the top end that's curled off. Now I'm going to imagine the letter J was actually on the page and block that in as a shadow. So where the letter J would have been, rather than curling up, I'm just creating a shadow so that it shows you where it should have been. And I'm curling that slightly into the left so it creates more of a distance between the ribbon bit of the actual letter J and the shadow, and just again creating a little bit of shadow on the bottom left of the letter so it looks like it's lifting up. Now I'm just going to play around with shading, just darkening the edges of the letter so that it looks like they're curling a little bit, making sure that shadow is quite distinct. And again, just darkening the top edge of this letter so it looks like it's curling out of the page. And just doing kind of an ombre shading, darker at the top and then lighter as we go towards the middle of the letter. And you get this overall effect of a J that appears to be curling off the page. And again, creating a 3-dimensional effect. And that's the end of our 3D letters. I hope you've enjoyed experimenting with different types of lettering. Do try lots and lots of different kinds. It takes practice, but you can have a lot of fun trying different mediums and seeing what effect you can get. All right, bye.